Before I get into the video, I just want to say some things are far more important than hockey. The entire PWHL community, the entire hockey community stands with Carla. It is tragic news, and I hope she goes out there and just kicks cancer's butt. Cancer's awful. I think just about every person I know has had it affect their lives, either by having it themselves or knowing somebody who has had it, who's had a battle with cancer. I've lost family members to cancer. The final score of this game, it is meaningless in comparison to that, and I don't care if we don't win another game this season if it means that Carla's gonna pull through. That's what's most important. We stand with Carla. Awful news, and the entire hockey community is rooting for you. The entire hockey community. Kind of hard to jump into a video prefacing it with that, but I can say this. You could feel the lack of Carla's presence all game. All game. You know, I wanted us to win this one for Carla, obviously. But I think, in an ironic way, losing for Carla does just as much. And by that, I mean by losing a game like in this fashion, it does make you think, hey, we had a great game beforehand. Yes, we had a bad start to the season, but maybe Carla being behind the bench is that impactful. Remember halfway through last season where people were questioning if she should stay on? I think any doubt, because now we see what it's like without Carla. Not pretty. Not pretty at all. This was a bad game for the Charge. Very bad game. One of the worst. It's so weird because I keep comparing this to the first game of the season. And in some ways, they're so similar, and in other ways, they're very different. So they're similar in that they're like a blowout inside of what was kind of a close game. The first game, the 4-0 loss to New York, it was close because going into the third, it was 0-0. For a while, that game was tight, and you didn't know who was going to win. And then in the third period, our defense just disappeared, collapsed in on itself, and New York ran away with it. But for most of the game, it was unclear who was going to win. But throughout most of the game, if you watched the play, I think most people would have thought New York's going to come out on top. They played better throughout the whole game. This game, the play was pretty even, but by the end of, there was 7 minutes, exactly 7 minutes into the first period, we were down by 3. It was 3-0 with 13 minutes left in the first period. So who cares if the play is even? If anything, if you have a 3-goal lead and then the rest of the game play is even, you're fine. Because the other team has such a handicap that it just doesn't matter. You are ahead by so much. The game's done. Pointing fingers this game, I don't know. This is like the first time this season I will say Phillips had a bad night. The first game where we lost 4-0, those 3 goals she let in, she did literally everything she could. She had no support, none whatsoever. These goals, the first 2 goals were behind her, were beneath her, way beneath her. And I say this because I believe that you need to be able, as a fan, to identify not just when a player has a bad night, but when a player has a bad night, and that's okay. Very often, especially in the sports talking head sphere of, I guess, entertainment, it's easy to want to just go right to one extreme or the other. And I know I can sometimes be extreme in my views, so this is where I'm gonna actually reel it in. I am still on the extreme of Gwyneth Phillips is a great goalie. No one's perfect, okay? Every single goaltender in every single level of the sport, in every single league, has had a bad night. Look at the NHL. Take your pick of one of the greatest goalies of all time. They've had a stinker of a night where they let 5 in. Okay? They did. Patrick Roy once had a night so bad that it's the reason why he went to another team. Because despite being maybe the greatest goaltender to ever play the game, he was having a bad night. And they kept him in. And he just had a terrible night and was mad that they didn't pull him sooner. And I'm glad Phillips didn't get pulled. I think that, after the like horrible start she had, the rest of the game she was decent. The rest of the game she was back to Gwyneth Phillips. But especially those first 2 goals, those are goals that, she definitely wants back. And I can say that. And I can say, look, as long as this doesn't become a trend, I'm not worried. Yeah, I'm not worried about Gwyneth Phillips, okay? She's still Gwyneth Phillips. She's still reigning playoff MVP. She's still very young for a goaltender. She's still very talented. All right, she had a bad game. If she has like 5 more games like this before the halfway point, yeah, then I would start maybe going to the hot-headed, hot take, extreme, oh, what's going on? But no, it was a bad game, all right? The first goal she led in by Coyne Schofield, who had a hat trick, by the way, was soft. It was soft. And even the second goal, it's like, she couldn't find the puck, just like a sitting duck, and then boom, 2-0. Not long after, boom, 3-0. The rest of the game doesn't matter. And that's where I don't want to put all the blame on her, because at the end of the day, the rest of the game was pretty even, pretty tight, and we scored 1 goal. And we had over 30 shots. We outshot them, and we scored 1 goal. Rory Gilday does get her first as an Ottawa Charge, so I was still really happy to see that. Brianne Jenner doesn't even go for the hug, goes straight for the puck, because it's her first ever PWHL goal. So really happy to see that. She's going to be a great player. But that's all the offense. And it was only after Minnesota makes it 4-0. 4-0! Another Coyne Schofield, who, again, then she gets the empty net for the hat trick. But it was in the third period. It was 4-0 in the third, and we got a power play, and we score on the power play. But, at that point, the game is done. Our goose was cooked. Nice that we got on the board. Nice that we broke up the shutout and whatnot. And look, I'm a strong believer. I'll take this over the New York game any day of the week. They were both 4-goal losses, but hey, at least we scored in this one, and it counted. I'll take that. And so then I'm like, well, do I want to blame the offense, right? The offense scored 1 goal on 30 shots, and there were 2 posts multiple times where I was left going, how did that not go in? Especially in the second period, because I sit very close to the net that the Charge shoot on the second. And there were times where I was looking at it and I'm like, how did that puck stay out of that net? Flashbacks to season 1 of and anyone just needed to get this much more finish, and this is a different game entirely. 2 posts. I counted at least 5 or 6 chances where either went off the post or the goaltender was completely out of position or laying down, and we just needed somebody to bang it in, and nothing. Talking wide open nets where we just can't quite get to the player that we need. Game of inches. But we scored 1. So then it's easy to say, well, hey, look, Gwyneth Phillips had no offense. And look, 2 goals, I will say, yeah, nope, she's got to save those. That still makes it a 2-1 game, and then 3-1 after the empty net. So it's still a regulation, a loss is a loss is a loss. So, we can go back. Like, game one, I blamed the offense for sure. I was like, you got outplayed for one, and for two, you had no finish. You got shut out. Game two, the offense showed up in spades. Lots of goals. And Phillips held the fort down. This game, back to not scoring a lot. The argument to make against that is, well, when you're down 3-0, there's a lot less to play for. When you're down 3-0 immediately, there's a lot less to play for, because you kind of know. Like, yeah, with 13 minutes left in the first, we still theoretically could have come back and won. But come on. Down 3-0 in the first. Really? Really? We're going to come back? But I'd also say this. If we'd scored a goal in the first or second period, we went into the third down 3-1, that is a winnable situation. And that's what your mentality would have to be going into the third period. It's not about, scoring however many goals unanswered. It's about, like, if it's 3-1 going into the third, you're not thinking about scoring 4 unanswered to win the game. You're thinking about, we're just down by 2. We're 1 goal away from a 1-goal game again. We are this close to it being this close. Let's just get the job done. So I would say, still, the offense needs to play. Like, yeah, you're down 3, you're probably not going to win. Down 3 with, 4 minutes left, yeah, whatever. The game's done. You're not winning that one. But with, 53 minutes left? It's not ideal. Not the best situation to be in. Game's not over. So I'm just going to say I don't think anybody on our team today played up to the standard that I think we have. That I think we do have. Our offense did not have finish. Yes, they did at least match the intensity and the level of play that Minnesota brought. But also, again, Minnesota didn't need to do anything after the 13-minute mark of the first. They just needed to make sure we didn't get back in the game. They matched us. Great. Perfect for them. But still, we did, after that point, play a pretty decent game. But it's not a 50-minute hockey game. It's a 60-minute hockey game. All of it counts. So some bad start for Phillips. 2 quick ones that just can't let in. Offense does nothing. I thought our defense was all right. What does it leave you with? It leaves you with a loss. It leaves you with another loss of 4 goals. Every game's been a 4-goal game. You know that? 4-0, 4-0 loss, 5-1 win, 5-1 loss. Can we at least get some close? Thursday, I'm imagining by the time this video goes up today, I really hope it's a close game. Even if we lose, I hope it's close. And I guess that's the other thing. What are we? Early samples suggest that maybe the expansion teams aren't as good as we once thought. They are not having the hottest of starts to the season so far. And Ottawa, kind of in the same boat. Now, a lot of people going into this season said that that's going to be the case for Ottawa. I want one more game before I really start to dig my heels into how scared should we be, what's the plan moving forward, yada, yada, yada. I want to see how we do next game. It's also hard to tell who's actually really good this year and who's not. As somebody who, as I'm sure a lot of you know, for those of you who are on the hockey and PWHL subreddits, I'm a power ranker. And first 2-3 weeks are the hardest because it's really hard to actually clearly see, okay, who's where. Maybe Minnesota and New York are the top 2 teams. And this actually isn't that bad. New York, I thought, has played strong so far. And also, we'll see one team absolutely destroy another, and that team that just got destroyed go destroy some third team, and that third team will go destroy the first team, like a game of rock, paper, scissors. I want to see. If we win, obviously, then great. Okay, we're still batting 500. We're still keeping things close. We're still in the race. We're still in the race. If we get demolished, then I'll be like, oh no. Oh no, it's one of these seasons. If it's a close game, win or lose, I'll be like, all right. So we look like a low mid team, which low mid is fine in the PWHL if you can just sneak into the playoffs, even with a not so great record. You can do damage. You can do damage. Get that opponent locked in a series with you. Just beat them 3 out of 5 times. Go to the finals. Do it again. Once you make the playoffs, anything can happen. And the other thing is, we don't know the playoffs. For sure. I imagine it's going to be 4. I imagine it's just going to be the same as the previous 2 seasons. 4 in, this time instead of 2 out, 4 out. And then bada bing, bada boom. I personally would like 5 with a single game play in. And that 5th team, that final eliminated team would, technically miss the playoffs. And depending on how expansion works, I think that the teams that make the playoffs might need to give up an extra expansion player, and the teams that miss the playoffs would maybe have to give less. I think that might be a nice solution. And just in general, I like a play-in game, okay? I don't think they're all that bad. I think if you go crazy with it, that's when it's bad. When almost everybody in the league makes the postseason, then it cheapens the postseason. But 5 out of 8, I don't think is that bad. And I think it still keeps, we had 4 out of 6 before. That's 2/3 of the league. I think it keeps in spirit with how the original playoff format was. And maybe play a season or 2 of that before just going to straight 4. Or once we have 12 teams in the league, we can just go 8 teams in the playoffs, because 4 teams out of 6, 8 teams out of 12, same difference. I'd like a play-in. I think that that'd be fun. The 4th place team gets to host a 1-game elimination play-in game. But it could be 6 teams making it. It could be the first 2 teams in the league get a bye, and we do it CFL style. Team number 3 faces team number 6, team number 4, team number 5. So it's also hard to say, what is the standard. I think it's going to be 4 teams. So I think this year the standard has elevated. You need to be a top half team. You're probably going to need a winning record this year. I don't think a losing record will cut it. But conversely, if 5 or 6 teams make it, then not doing that bad, right? We're not doing as bad. It's early on. If we get blown out again, then yes, I'll panic a bit more. It's early on. And honestly, I want to be mad, but some things are more important. Yeah. And I just hope Carla gets better. Not our best game, but not the most important thing that happened either. Other far more important things. We'll see how I'm feeling in the next few games after they've played some more. And as always, go, Charge, go. We stand with you, Carla.